All that work to get the angle, and then he knocks it over.
What up? For a movie like Avengers Endgame, of course you gotta get a big giant cast to talk about a movie with a big giant cast, right? I got the Cinema Swamp crew here, and I also have two other buddies of mine.
Swamp crew.
Yeah, what up? So, I'm Justin, of course, and...
I'm Hunter.
I'm Peter.
I'm Chloe.
Zach.
I'm Austin.
Oh, sweet. Awesome. Okay, everyone did it on cue. I'm proud of everyone. Obviously, it's really late because it was a 3-hour movie, but we're all pumped up. And it was the greatest movie of all time. So, review done, I think.
Yeah, we'll see you next time.
Greatest movie of all time. No, but seriously, what did you guys think of it? I want to know. Like, I thought it was awesome.
I'm satisfied.
Yeah,
Very satisfied.
Yeah.
It is a crowd pleaser, a fan pleaser.
Yeah, definitely.
Fan service.
It was not what I expected at all.
Every guess I had for the movie was completely wrong.
Yeah, pretty much.
And even some of the beats I thought that they would do, they didn't do. And some other things, some surprising things I thought they would never in a million years even touch.
Yeah, pretty much the whole movie I thought it was just going to be a whole build-up of them planning on how to, you know, finally just defeat this guy, and then it's just...
Right away.
We're shoving that theory out the window right in the first, right away.
Any theory that you have about this movie is basically going to be thrown in your face.
Yeah, just leave it at home. Forget it.
Except for the Ant-Man theory.
Except for the Ant-Man theory.
Don't worry, by the end of the movie, the Ant-Man theory will
go
go to
First act, he's up there, and then he's a sleeper agent the whole rest till the end.
I said that the first half hour of the movie was just going to be a black screen and then grunting his way up the ass. I thought that's what it was going to be. One of the things I'm really interested, just because we've all seen Infinity War, I think, multiple times, what do you think of this compared to Infinity War? Do you think this one was better? Do you think Infinity War is better, or do you have a different reasoning for that? I mean, me personally, I think I liked Endgame better, especially the first time around. Infinity War, I didn't love the first time. I've really grown into it. Infinity War is better paced, but Endgame kind of had more of what I wanted out of the Marvel Universe for years, especially the first hour has some of the best acting in the entire series. I turned towards you during the Tony Stark scenes, and I was like, this guy should win an Oscar. Like, this is amazing what he's doing right now. But I don't know, what did you all...
Which was totally fitting for him, too. I mean...
Right? Wouldn't it be awesome if he won
He's
one?
the pillar, I mean, of the whole series.
If he got nominated, especially for this one now, that's kind of like the end of his contract after so many movies.
Yeah, it'd be really fitting.
What'd you all think of it, though, compared to Infinity War?
I think I like this one better. It's just more balls to the wall and they took more risks, for sure, so I think I like this one more.
Yeah,
I watched it a couple more times.
I like this one too because, I mean, they did take more risks and it was a little more, badass in certain ways, but I do like Infinity War's like comedic relief a little better. I thought this one kind of felt like it was trying a little hard, but I still laughed at points. But
I was kind of wondering how they were going to do some of the humor in this movie, given the ending of the last movie.
Right.
They do it well still, but I don't even know what to say, because I would almost think that Infinity War kind of seemed more well thought out, like script-wise, dialogue-wise. Like they had everything planned. But you would have thought with that movie, that's where they were all ending up for years. With this movie, I don't think they had an initial plan for how they were going to solve the Thanos problem. I think they had a goal for all these movies, like Thanos is going to show up, and will he actually use the stones? Will he not? They probably didn't know at the time. It feels like with this movie that it wasn't planned, that they were like, no, he's going to use the stones and half the universe is going to die. What's next? And with that, it does seem a little, not fully planned out, but I still liked it.
Right. Which I think kind of includes to the part where you don't really know what's going to happen, because it doesn't seem like it's so planned out, which I think really helped the movie.
What do you think was better, this one or Infinity War?
I think this one was better. had the coolest game of capture the flag ever in it.
True. It did. For a while, I thought that was just gonna get passed around to everybody, and I was like, "Are we gonna include every single character?"
Yeah.
It's like that the NFL commercial. You see that where they're all
oh, it's all
around
famous football players.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like.
Boy. Come on, TG.
I was expecting like I don't know, even the most random character you could think of. Man, but no Justin Hammer. He would have been great. Iron Man 2, Justin Hammer, Sam Rockwell. Do you not remember?
To throw into the final battle?
If he was there, I mean, come on.
He's just running around holding it. Like.
What'd you think of it, though? You didn't say it. Did you like this one?
I loved this one, but that we were talking a little bit. That second act just felt a little out of place, and Infinity War didn't have an act that felt out of place. So I think even though they're very different feeling movies altogether, I think Infinity War is a little bit better crafted, but Endgame is. It's hard to argue with it because this is the culmination movie.
Mm-hmm.
This is like the end all be all, and they did such a great job.
Right.
But I think that second act felt ridiculously out of place, but still great. It just felt like a different movie. Infinity War is a lot more like The Empire Strikes Back. You know,
Definitely.
I don't know, for me, it's like because of like the emotions of like loss in the theater your first time watching it.
Yeah.
Makes it almost, in my mind, kind of a better movie.
Maybe after the fact, I mean, because this movie was like so satisfying that, you know, maybe it's a little prisoner of the moment because you're like, finally.
Yeah,
you know?
or else
Then you can take a step back later, and
I would
but
like
initially
to see
it feels, you know, it was a really good movie.
Yeah, so freaking good. It's hard to pick, really.
I want to know what it's going to be like after multiple viewings, because Infinity War for me only got better with multiple viewings.
Mm-hmm.
This one I'm not sure, because I kind of had the same issues with the second act, and I kind of wonder if they'll grow on me more. Some of the cameos that showed up, I really like that they didn't always have to do the thing where they show up and they have to play like some theme in the background and make a big point of them being in the movie. Mm-hmm. Like at a certain point, there's a very famous actor from Winter Soldier who's in this movie, but it's not like they make a big point of him being there. It's like, no, because they trust that the audience has seen all these movies and that we know who these characters are. So when they show up, they can just be themselves in that time that they were acting like, and they don't have to make a big point about it. They don't have to be like, oh, by the way, this is a we'll have some really cheesy line referencing what he did in the other movies. Like, no, it's like they're there because they would have been there.
That's kind of the beauty of it too, because, you know, we've been watching these movies for so long. Mm-hmm. We get to know all these characters, and really in this movie, if they did do like a big entrance for all those things, it would be, you know, so long. Like there's no time for that.
Right. And I like that this movie also kind of felt better to me because they didn't have that giant cast, because I love the Avengers for having the big giant cast. Infinity War did it great, but the thing was, as fun as the dialogue was and how well paced it is, it does kind of just end up being a bunch of people saying their one-liners. Yeah. I mean, it's like, yeah, see their movies if you want to get more of them, but here it's like we have to give everyone their lines. This movie, since half of them are dead, we can focus better on some of these actors who may not be in future movies because their contract's ending.
Right.
Austin, you have not said which one did you like better?
I think I'd have to go with Infinity War. I mean, this one obviously is like just so much more like wholesome, and you know, it's just that final, you know, end all be all. But like, I'm a sucker for just the explosive, just, you know, fighting. Like, you know, that's kind of like what I felt Infinity War was more of, and I don't know. I just kind of like that one.
You like Infinity War because of the Squidward meme.
You're right.
That
right.
Not enough SpongeBob references in this one.
Yeah, that really was a lack of. Really missed the mark there in this one.
I think we should just go into spoilers now. So if you haven't seen the movie, why are you watching this, or why haven't you seen it already? You're crazy. Well, so stop the video here. We're going into spoilers. 3, 2, 1. It's over. You better have stopped it. Iron Man's dead. He's gone. It's over.
And Thor's fat.
Okay, speaking
The
of
even bigger shock.
speaking of risks, I was like, okay, yeah, the movie takes risks, but here's one of the risks they take. Thor is a fat ass this entire movie. The entire movie.
Yeah,
like,
did you see
I
his
did not like
boobs?
that.
Oof.
and his beard, which honestly didn't look that good.
No.
The prosthetics actually didn't look that good. He looked so silly, and I kept waiting for him to be like just suck his gut back in and be all fit. But no, I think this movie.
I felt like it was just a bit much because they showed Hulk as like both, and that was silly, and then they like went to Thor, and I was like, what's going on here? Like, they're just like making all these characters just ridiculous.
It almost felt like an SNL sketch.
Yeah.
Honestly.
What's the name of the Hulk character in the comics? Is it Professor Hulk? Is that what they call him?
Yeah.
Oh,
Like the
when he
smart
has-
Hulk.
When they show him on screen, I was like, oh man, I don't know about this.
Yeah.
And then that was it. It was like 1 second, and I was
That's
like,
how I felt too, but with Thor, it didn't go away from me.
Thor-
I did not like that. I don't know.
part of me didn't like it, but part of me loved it because I was like, oh, they took a risk, and it's kind of funny. And yeah, he probably would be all beating himself up about the fact that he didn't go for the head.
Yeah.
Which they reference that line beautifully in this movie. It is amazing. But I think it bothers me more when he goes back to Thor: The Dark World and he meets up with his mom, and I'm like, "You're still fat," and she's just looking at him like, "You're not my son, but you're from the future, I know." And I'm like, "Why aren't you pointing out that he's fat?" Like,
He did though.
Well, he did. He is
well,
fat.
I mean, yeah, I guess, but like, not to the.
It's not the first thing you're gonna care about.
I know, but like the scene, you kind of loses a lot of emotional value when the guy is like under like several layers of beard and he's fat. It's like, well, it's supposed to be an emotional moment. He hasn't seen his mother in years. Which, by the way, this movie goes back to Thor: The Dark World, my least favorite. I think everybody's kind of least favorite MCU movie. But well, not which one's the worst?
Wait, yeah, yours is unreasonable.
By the way, Iron Man 3.
Don't listen to Chloe.
I'm vindicated. We're vindicated. We're all because we're Iron Man 3 fans. Harley's in this movie. He shows up. He's in this. That means they love Iron Man 3 because they were showing like the casts of all the biggest movies, and it was like, oh look, it's all the Ant-Man characters and all the Black Panther characters, and they show one lone guy, and I was like, who's that? It's
If it was
like
him and then like the camera crew guy.
I am your biggest. Like if he was just bawling, like
He has like an Iron Man mask on, like the plastic one from Walmart, and he like takes it off.
Wow. Can I just say, sir? Yeah. I'm your biggest fan.
What did you think of the use of Captain Marvel in this movie?
Not enough.
Underutilized, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I mean, like she's OP for sure, but
Well,
I mean, in a good way.
yeah.
But I didn't think that was like an excuse to have her in the movie barely.
She was like
at all.
underutilized and then overutilized towards the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because I think that was one of the issues with introducing her is that she's so powerful that it's like, oh, she could just take off the gauntlet and use it herself. But here, they had a very good explanation for why she hasn't shown up in the last couple of years. They also had a very good explanation for why she wasn't in the final battle for most of it. And even when she went up against Thanos, it was still a fight. So I was like, okay, they definitely balanced that act a lot better than I thought they would do.
I wish that she had more lines in the movie because I know you wanted to see what the Russos could do with her character.
And I didn't get to see it, I guess. But I mean, for what it was so awesome, you know. And it's interesting that they would skip over that whole Easter egg completely from the end scene from Captain Marvel.
They must have edited it out because that was definitely like film.
Yeah,
to
which
be
would
part
have
of
been the
the
very
movie.
beginning because basically she's already there when they go to the garden or whatever. How do you guys feel about a couple of the slower moments for me was when Tony's talking with his dad, and then when Thor's talking to his mom.
Mm-hmm.
Was there a couple other moments like that where they're in this timeline and
Where it just
they're
felt kinda
talking
slow.
with some person that's long lost? It's like this moment of catching up. Like, was that completely necessary? Do you guys think?
I don't, because like the Thor and his mom one especially, it just felt like they were trying to give him something to do in the movie because his only arc really is that, oh, I missed Thanos, I didn't take him down, and now I'm going down this path of sadness. But throwing his mom in there, I guess, was supposed to bring some, additional character moments for him.
I wish it would have been Loki more.
Yeah, that's true.
Definitely.
Well, especially, I think the biggest problem is the fact that, that was kind of the big part of Thor's storyline was Thor not Ragnarok, but the Dark World. Mm-hmm. And we go back to that movie, but the thing is, that was one of the least developed movies and characters in, like, all of the series. Mm-hmm. And to make it, like, a whole moment for this film just kind of fell out of place. Now, the one with Tony and his dad was better just because...
It was good.
I
I'm just thinking, is it necessary?
I don't think
Right.
it...
Felt like filler when we didn't need it.
I feel like, given how the movie ended, I felt like it was kind of satisfying to see that, because I think that was one of the big things that was still holding him back. Even if Iron Man 2 kind of solved a lot of his issues with his dad, he started to find his place a little more, and not let the fact that, I had a bad relationship with him, hold him back. Mm-hmm. I felt like it already solved it, but this really, like, cemented Tony's, I guess, issue there. Like, did it bother you, or did you think it was done well, or do you think that it doesn't mess up the timeline? For me, it's like messing with my head because I don't understand how the timeline works now and what rules of time travel they're following.
It's because we only understand Back to the Future rules.
Right. And they kind of like put a kibosh to that right away too. They're like, that's not how it works. They're like, what happens is what's gonna happen. Like,
well, then it's like, well, then what do we believe? You know.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this movie's trying to rewrite it, not rewrite it, but to let us open up our imaginations to it.
yeah.
So the more rewatches, maybe we'll like understand what they're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Because every other time travel movie, like Looper, follows Back to the Future rules, and Days of Future Past kind of does.
I feel like most do. That's why we're so
Yeah.
used to that.
Yeah.
Well, if you
Or
go back in
Firefly.
time, you're going to affect the timeline. But this movie and the Ancient One who comes back, what's her real name?
Tilda Swinton.
Tilda Swinton. She's back in the movie, but she kind of explains how time travel works in this movie a little bit. And I was like, okay, so even though they're going back in time, time has already happened. Everything's been done already, and going back is just bringing you to a different timeline. It's not bringing you to your
Right.
timeline. So taking Thanos, because it's weird. The whole movie, it's Thanos, but he's killed in the first couple of minutes, which is surprising.
Yeah.
Was done awesome, and it really throws everyone for a loop.
Which I felt like they just, like, they're like, okay, we need to have a satisfying death for Thanos, so they're like, let's just cut his head off right away.
Yeah.
Because having him, like, disappear would not be very satisfying.
And plus, like, I like that they threw everyone off because he's like, no, the stones are gone. I'm like, he's a brilliant, because that's exactly what you would do right after, finishing off the thing you've been wanting to do your whole life. But the thing that's weird is that once he's dead, the main villain of the movie is the 2014 Thanos, which to me is not that scary, but two, the fact is, I guess this version of time travel is, if you're taking him out of 2014, it's not like Guardians of the Galaxy didn't happen. Like, it still happened.
Right.
These are just separate timelines. But what'd you think of 2014 Thanos?
For some reason, I felt like he was less developed, which is weird because Infinity War was like basically Thanos.
That was like his
He was
movie.
the main character in
Yeah.
Infinity War, and so he had a ton of amazing development, which is another reason I think Infinity War might be better. But like, even though we get 2014 Thanos, you'd think like, oh, I know his character. He still seemed more evil and heinous, and so
Yeah.
which he was scary, but I didn't feel as much conviction for him, I guess, in this one.
Yeah.
Because he still felt less developed. So I don't know.
I feel like he wouldn't have been like as like, I hate you guys. You know, I didn't enjoy like killing everyone, but I do
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, now I'm gonna
Because-
kill everyone.
Because he like found out everything that happened so soon because he looked at Nebula. I mean, it's like, how can you develop that hatred so quickly like that?
One of the things that I thought was pretty funny was the fact that, so Thanos is killed at the beginning. Like you said, it was more satisfying that way to kill off that Thanos in that way, and I think it threw audiences off. To have the 2014 Thanos, I was like, okay, this is to me a completely different villain now. Because one, he never interacted with the Avengers in the past anyway, so,
Right.
and even when they reference the fact that Infinity War happened, you're like, oh, you did this and you did that. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about really, but he's like going along with it, which is kind of, to me, weird. But it's like, he's not meant to be a huge character anymore because this movie is about the heroes. However, what's funny is that when he comes to destroy the Avengers, he has like this giant army full of like aliens and this is 2014, so maybe he had a bigger army at the time, but like he literally had everything, and I'm like, where was all that when you went to Wakanda? Like honestly, I mean, I know you weren't technically, you know, in charge at Wakanda. That was your children, I guess, doing that. But it's like, where were those like flying worm guys there? Or where were
even because then were those the Chitauri? Whatever.
Chitauri. Yeah.
Like they kind of all died in 2012 when like Iron Man nuked them in space.
But even yeah, that's true.
So it's like, why
how
did
did they have more?
I thought that's why they weren't around in 20.
Well, maybe he went back to 2012 and he got more of them, and he was like, "You're all coming with me."
Yeah.
The final battle of the movie seemed like there's been very few critics of the MCU, but one of the big criticisms, and it's actually been towards the Russos, is that they're not really good at filling up an action sequence. One of the things is that when they talk about Civil War, they said when all the characters were charging at each other, I was like, oh look, there's 5 over here, 5 over there. That's not really exciting, and it's all against pavement. This movie, the final battle, seems like their response to that. You're like, you want to see a battle? Do you want to see millions of characters, tons of people? Do you ever see the meme of Deadpool from his movie when he's like, it didn't seem like they had the budget for more characters, and that was about Civil War? I remember seeing that meme, and I was like, you know, that's kind of true. Like, there are a lot of characters in Civil War, but when they fight, it's like, wow, it's not really that many. Here, it's like, you just forget about how many characters there are. And unlike Infinity War, they're not in different planets. They're all together for like the first time. And it's one of the biggest, greatest battles ever. And like any character that you can think of in the MCU is there.
Yeah.
And how Valkyrie got her flying horse, I have no idea. Where did she get that from? She did not have that previously. I thought it died, but now it's back.
My brain's just fried right now. I'm just like, the gears are just spinning so fast. I'm just trying to keep up right now.
What did you think of them killing off Iron Man? Do you think it was done well?
Yeah, I mean, they pretty much did the only way they really could. I mean, they're just to like kind of tarnish his whole legacy and just kind of leave it all, you know, just like on a silver platter right there at the end. I think they did it pretty good.
I loved his final line in the entire series, because he doesn't speak again after that, right? And I don't know.
Yeah, he can't speak. I don't think he says
He mostly doesn't say anything, but it works really well.
Mm-hmm.
And his final line, like, he gets all the Infinity, which I didn't see coming at all, but final line in the movie is, I am Iron Man. And I was like, that was awesome. Yeah. That was so satisfying. Oh, and Captain America finally gets to carry around the hammer, which...
Yeah.
By the way, I'm a little disappointed he cut off his beard. He looked a little more rugged, and I could take him a little more seriously with the beard. But
he needed to shave because he was going back in time to see Peggy.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That second act, the whole thing felt like an Ant-Man movie. The time heist part felt like, this is a time heist, this is like Ant-Man's movie almost.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I liked it because it had that feel, but it still felt out of place. It felt like really choppy. Especially jumping in between the timelines.
I
was kind of...
I felt like more, it was, what am I trying to think? Like, when I only liked the New York parts, really, in the time heist part. But that was because it just nodded to not just the first Avengers, but also like Winter Soldier when they're in the elevator.
Yeah, that was good. The Hail Hydra part.
Yeah,
that was
cool,
comics. That was a cool like comic nod.
Yeah.
But like I would forget about the other parts after a while. Like I totally forgot that Hawkeye and Black Widow were even part of it. Until then.
I think everybody saw that coming, that he was not going to be coming back. I'm like, nah, he's... But that's the thing with time travel again. Like, if those are different timelines you're going back to, how was Captain America able to sit at that bench then? Like, I don't understand that.
Wouldn't it be like a separate timeline and he'd be on the bench in that timeline?
Yeah, right?
The original one?
Not this timeline. Unless he... I mean, does he still have the stones? Does he just use them and he's like, like...
No, I think he dropped off the Tesseract last and just stayed there.
So once the stones went back, it's the same original timeline
that's right.
again.
Yeah.
So he just has to drop off the Tesseract
So it, like,
off
snaps
last,
back
and then
into
he'll be
place.
fine.
But how
so
does?
then it was
But
that
how
one
can he
original
be
one.
in this timeline though, and married to Peggy Carter, which we all know is who he's with?
Yeah.
How can he be married to her? Because she was single in Winter Soldier, or I guess as I don't know, as single as you could be there. I
Well,
mean,
he
she was
could-
old.
She got married.
But she was
said-
old. But she was meeting with Captain America. Like that's the thing. Like this movie was like
She had a husband that died.
I know,
There's an
I know,
interview
but
where
like what I'm saying is though, he went back, and now it's this timeline if he's sitting on that bench, right? It's this timeline. That means he lived in this timeline, married to Peggy Carter.
What I think, what maybe you guys were saying is like he returned the other stones but kept the Tesseract. But while he kept the Tesseract in whatever timeline he was able to live with Peggy Carter, he lived a full life, and then I'm guessing he would return the Tesseract then, and then come back to the present. So it's like he did get to live a full life with Peggy Carter, but then went back to the one where she didn't have it. Maybe.
You know what I think?
We're doing a lot of work for them right now, though, by saying that. So.
I think they started to just kind of not care by the end, because they're like, I think Chris Evans is done with the series. Let's just find a way for him to be done. Like,
I don't think it's
maybe he just danced with her once. And that
I know it's not
that
hard.
was it for him, and then just waited.
I know it's not hard to figure out, but it's just I'm thinking Back to the Future rules so hard right now, and the fact that they, for the entire movie, went with different rules, and then there it's like they kind of went back to the Future rules, and I was like, well, wait a minute, what did you? I like that they kept some of the characters who died in Infinity War dead. Like Gamora is dead. 2014 Gamora is not. Like she comes back.
She could have been dusted. I don't remember.
Possibility. She could have been dusted accidentally. Loki's not back.
No, Loki's not.
I mean, he went away in 2012, but that doesn't count.
Yeah.
Which is so funny, by the way. Like, he was just like...
Yeah.
And I was like, well, shit.
Does anyone else think so? Like, there's a Loki TV show. I immediately thought, okay, that's how they're going to do the TV show. It's going to be a split timeline where he's got the Tesseract.
Yeah.
But before that was all rolling, when Thor was following his mom around, and then all of a sudden she's like there next to him. My first thought was like, oh, there's Loki disguised as Thor's mom, and this whole like sequence is just Loki like giving him a encouragement speech,
Right.
and then like any second, like as soon as Thor was leaving, he's gonna be Loki again and then leave.
Natalie Portman's in this movie.
Yeah, that was like legit her.
But Thor and her did not have a conversation, because I was like, well, they're gonna have her. What? Are they gonna have her be a love interest again? Which no one liked. Does anybody like that?
Not really.
And I thought this movie was like, we don't either. We're not gonna reference it.
And then they don't reference Sharon Carter, the Agent 13
Yeah.
romance either. I was wondering what happened.
Oh,
with
that's
that.
kind of creepy now.
Yeah, that is
Because he goes back in
It's
time,
just
and it's like, oh, now that's your
I
niece.
made out with your niece.
Does she exist anymore? Does she exist anymore?
I don't know.
I think he
Maybe
killed her.
She got dusted.
I mean,
Killed her?
already this timeline saying that the stuff that happened, so she's alive. But at the same time, it's like he's the uncle now.
Also, if she is alive, then he like watches her grow up, and he's like her uncle.
Yuck! I didn't think about that. Dude, Scarlett Johansson's dead.
Yeah.
They actually kill Black Widow in one of the that's actually one of my favorite scenes in the movie, because it's so in character for those two, and I like that they always kept them friends. They were never in a relationship, but they had a really good friendship, and neither one of them. Like, I was waiting for a Red Skull to be like, you passed the test, that's how it works. You're not supposed to die, you're supposed to fight to see who because that means you have soul. You got soul, and then he's just like...
I thought they were both gonna die.
What are the odds? Because you can't really pick between them.
Right.
I was waiting for, when Iron Man died, I was waiting for someone to grab that gauntlet and kind of fix everything. And this movie doesn't do it, which... I mean, maybe it's because the contracts are ending, but you know, it's also like this movie has guts in doing that. Yeah, because now it's like in the future, except that doesn't even make sense, because why is Ned still going to high school all these years later?
Well, because he got dusted, probably. That's probably why. So some people are...
I didn't even think of that! Like, they referenced the cheeseburger from
Yeah.
Iron Man 1. That
made me
was
cry a little.
That was amazing, because I was like, it's the director, which... Him saying that, I almost wonder, like, I wonder if that was Jon Favreau's idea to have Tony say that in the first movie, and then for her to be like, I want a cheeseburger. He's like, yeah, your dad liked cheeseburgers. I was like, that's so sad.
Well, then he's like, I'm gonna make you so many cheeseburgers. I lean over Justin like, cuz chef.
Oh yeah, because he's a chef.
He's a chef.
They're gonna go take.
It also has Robert Downey Jr. in it.
Yeah, they're gonna go take a bus around now and make Cuban sandwiches for everyone. Yeah. By the way, they jumped her age up.
She's gonna be the new Ant person.
Her age seemed a little too old at first, because I was like, okay, in the last movie she was like 10, and here, but then I thought about it, I was like, okay, well, I guess, I was like, okay, I guess she's 50, okay, maybe that would be what she looks like. I mean, it's just
Also
because
the stress of living alone. She aged.
For sure.
Beard.
My original theory was, I thought Don Cheadle was going to die. I thought Ant-Man was going to die. Captain America was going to die. and
Everyone thought Captain America was
Everyone
I'm
thought
so
that.
satisfied
I was
with the
pretty
way
sure
that
the way they got rid of him was a lot better than killing him off,
I
honestly.
mean, we all know he's dead in 5 years anyways.
Well, he's a super soldier. He might just live forever, though. He might just live. By the way, that was actually Chris Evans in the
Yeah.
makeup.
Yeah.
That was
Which
good.
I don't know if it was makeup or CG or a mix, but it is some of the best I've ever seen.
The side profile, I thought it was Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, I was thinking like we got Clint Eastwood to play Chris Evans.
Everything got Clint Eastwood to step in and just like be
So
photographed, and then they put like Chris Evans' face over it. But
Yeah.
it looked
They use a Snapchat filter.
that and the voice. You know, especially for a movie where he looked really good old, but
Yeah.
Thor looked terrible as a fat guy. Like,
Yeah.
where did they get the prosthetics for that? Like,
Yeah, they're playing Fortnite.
when he was amazing.
My favorite part though is they had the Taika Waititi shirt on. 'Cause
Right,
he
the actual
plays
one, yeah.
Taika Waititi.
Taika-
Or Taika Waititi plays Korg.
Yeah.
It was
And
actually
so I'm
like,
like, that's so cool. And I leaned over to Justin and I'm like, it's the dude. And immediately,
Big Lebowski.
Joey starts like, hey, come on here, Lebowski. And we're, I don't know, I thought it was so.
Well,
I didn't hear you, but I thought
pretty
you
spot
said
on.
that.
That was
I
nailed.
was like,
That
hey,
was
it's
so
the
funny.
dude.
I
You
love
know that's what they're going for.
They thought Thor was sleeping in the corner.
Yeah. So,
I did like when they all did their PowerPoint presentations of where the stones came from and how to get them and
Yeah.
everything. Like,
Thor's.
a lot of those moments were really in character. Awesome. When they started having all the Doctor Strange portals
Yeah.
show up and
Yeah,
just
that-
That was
like this is
Doctor
gonna
Strange
get
was
nuts.
badass in that scene.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
I really like the diner scene with the Hulk.
Can we get your autograph? Can we get a picture with you?
I'm Ant-Man, you want my picture?
You know, and that like that.
damn phone.
There was times where like they did that where there were really long jokes that they didn't cut, but I thought it was still super funny. That was one of them. It just went on forever, and I was like, but it's kind of funny, and it's weird that this 3-hour movie is like feels that it's necessary to keep this in, but it's great. Same with the ending when Chris Pratt and Thor are kind of like, oh, we should have a fight. It's like no. He's like,
yeah, knife each other.
because we know who's in charge. And then there's just silence, and it's like,
Me, right?
it's me, right? Yes, of course.
Yes, of course.
And he does that weird smile.
It made it weirder with his brown eyes for some reason.
Yeah. But they didn't have like a send off for him like they did for
I think now.
every other, basically the other 4 characters. The only, like, Thor kind of had a send off, but Hulk didn't have anything.
I think-
the last time you really see him is when he's trying to bring Captain America back, and that's it.
They could do a Hulk movie with like the leader as the villain, and now that Hulk
They
has
actually
like a
bring him
brain,
back.
Yeah.
now now he can think for himself. That like maybe he could take him on. I forgot who played him in Incredible Hulk.
The guy from Holes, I can't
Blue.
remember his name.
Mr. Blue.
Shia LaBeouf?
Yeah,
No.
Shia LaBeouf.
By the way, him like pretending to be Hulk from 2012 was the best thing ever. Just like barely hitting the card.
Yeah. That was a moped. Tim
Tim Blake Nelson.
Blake Nelson, yeah.
Oh, well, just on deck. That's
Yeah,
impressive,
that's
actually.
No, I liked when they went back in time. They did recreate a lot of those scenes really well. And that was one of them, especially the New York stuff. But the part where Quill shows up to steal
I was just gonna say
like, you see what's really going on when he's listening to that music,
and it's great
just
because like right where it cut to him like singing or whatever, that's when the title card of Guardians comes up. Is right where it
You know,
cut to him.
coming.
So-
How did okay? Because I understood that with like the first movie was okay. Thanos has been studying the stones for years. He probably knows how to use all of them without like doing trial and error because he knew how to use all of them as soon as he got them.
Yep.
Now here, it's like Hulk puts it on. He's like, I know how to bring back half of humanity, and I'm like,
Yeah. Well, first 2 you're like, that's too small. That's not gonna fit you.
Yeah.
And
And
it's
like,
like-
for a brief second, I thought like he'd put on his finger. You know, some people can do that like hand clap, like with just their like, hand claps everyone back into existence.
Right now, I'd probably give it a 4 out of 5. I feel like it's gonna go up more though as I see it more. What everyone else think about it? Are we going out of 5? We usually go out of 5.
4.5.
I agree. 4.5.
Yeah, I think
Four
I
and a
bumped
half.
up to 4.5.
I agree, 4.5 for sure.
You know,
You're the lowest.
I like the least.
like you know how when I saw Infinity War in the theater, like I said, I didn't think the effects were bad at all. But then when I saw it on Blu-ray, I noticed how bad the effects were in Infinity War. This, I'm wondering if it's gonna be the same effect that once it comes out on Blu-ray, you're gonna be able to see the badness of a lot of the effects a lot more.
I'll
And because
find
that, you think it'll hold up?
I think they'll hold up just because the only difference between me and you, if we're going to use just us as the testers, when I saw Infinity War in theaters, I thought the effects were kind of crappy. And here, I think they perfected everything. And I think this is the best the Hulk's ever looked. I think this is the best a lot of the makeup's ever looked, and a lot of the characters, and even some of the CG battles, CG ships and everything. And I think it's because these movies were filmed at the same time. But one had to get edited and finished faster than the other, because the first one, it was like, we have to have this out now. The next one, we could still work an entire year on the effects. So with that, I was like, yeah, even like the suits, like the Iron Man suits and everything, I think look better in this movie than they did in the past.
I'd agree, except for Thor. I thought Thor...
Well, Thor looked terrible.
I just cannot get past it. I just thought it looked like he was just in a fat suit.
There was no end credit scenes.
No end credit scenes. There was
like a montage.
There was
credit thing.
What was that was going on?
It sounded like metal being hit with a hammer.
Yeah.
So it's either a callback to Iron Man, or it's some crazy obscure Easter egg that maybe would have reference to like who might take up the Iron Man mantle.
Galactus working on his
which
mobile
could
suit.
be Shuri.
Harley.
Could be Harley. I don't think it'll be Gwyneth Paltrow, but I think it could be Shuri.
Thanks for watching, everybody. If you can see Austin's shirt, he has the greatest Avenger of all on it. Prince! Prince makes an appearance.
I really wish we would have been in that movie.
Oh, we didn't even mention, like, remember when Ant-Man went up Thanos' butt at the very end?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right when he's getting dusted, then Ant-Man's like, I'm not letting you get away that easy.
Yeah, he gets dusted, you see Ant-Man fall. I almost had him! That was for nothing!
Oh, man.